Hello, hello. Can everybody hear me? Can everyone hear me? I'm still pulling stuff up. This was supposed to be like a simple lunch live style, but then I realized I wasn't going to be able to read off of my phone while I did a live. So I was going to go live on my phone. And I always overthink my lives. I've been talking about this live though for couple days. I said I was going to do this live a couple days ago. I'm going to do it right now. So I always overthink lives. I kept preparing. I kept talking to people. Can everyone hear me? Hey, everyone. I'm going to pull some things up. Some things. So I was having a hard time with my microphone. So I had my microphone here. Like I said, I was going to go live on my phone. All these things. I apologize. I'm a bit late. And like I said, I've been overthinking this live, and we just need to talk about some things. I'm going to pull some things up though, because I want to share a couple things with you guys. We'll start there. All right. And Patreon. I'm going to pull up patreon.com/hidden-true-crime. We keep a bunch of FOIA documents there in our collections. So I'm just going to pull that up too. Okay. All right. Didn't want to keep you guys waiting much longer. I have been reading through all of the Tim Ballard documents. And by documents, I mean, we knew a little bit when John and I went live. It's almost 2 weeks ago now, 13 days ago, with our Hidden Hour a couple weeks ago about Tim Ballard. And at that moment, we knew that there were women that had come forward expressing sexual assault, spiritual abuse, spiritual manipulation, and John and I decided to finally come forward. For those that don't know who Tim Ballard is, a little background. Tim Ballard is someone who has a national platform, actually an international platform, since the movie Sound of Freedom came out this year. Tim Ballard is the subject of the movie Sound of Freedom, and he is the founder of the nonprofit organization Operation Underground Railroad, or OUR, that helps to save children if they've been trafficked. All right. So yeah, it's shocking, right, Ozzy Tad? So first, after we did that live, the first civil lawsuit came down to the Third Judicial Court in Salt Lake County, 90 pages long. Again, it's on our Patreon account, patreon.com/hidden-true-crime. And I'll actually pull this up. I'll share the screen. So here are our collections. We put all of our FOIA documents in collections. I actually love this. Patreon's doing collections now, so I organized that. So we have 25 different court docs right there. Are you guys seeing this? Yeah. So I'm going to just go into that and show you these two. Oh, yeah. Gosh, it's so much. So let me head in here. Let's pull this up. It's shocking, but I feel like I've been going down a rabbit hole, and I've been going down a rabbit hole for, let's say, 2 years. And I think it's time that I explain why John and I have been talking about Tim Ballard for quite a while, quite a bit before these lawsuits came down, and why we're still going to talk about Tim Ballard. 1 second. I have a visitor. Okay, good. I think he realized he needed to keep the door shut. Good job, Dad. A little visitor I had. So that's the second lawsuit. Let's go down. Oh, okay. So I'm going to pull this up. And while we pull that up, I'm going to actually stop sharing this for a second. Okay, so before we start, I think we're going to start back to me going to the Firm Expo. Let's start with Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow. Many of our gems have been here with us for 4 years while we have covered the Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell case. Many of you have not been with us from the beginning. So To briefly explain, my personal deep dive into this case has gone deep into the belief system that Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow followed. And I just didn't stop. I kept going, and I even attended a firm expo. Now, Chad had a platform in several places that gave Chad his platform, and it was the Firm Expo, which was done by Rod Meldrum, or run by Rod Meldrum. Rod Meldrum was really good friends with Mike and Nancy James, who ran Preparing a People. They did have a falling out. They're no longer together. And then, and Chad would speak at both of these conferences. And that's really who gave him a platform, along with a website called About. So, Preparing a People is now debunked after Chad gave them kind of a bad name. They sort of revamped, rebranded. They're now Latter-day Media, but it's still run by the Jameses. I decided to go to a Firm Expo. Another way to remember the Firm Expo is David Warwick and Melanie Gibb actually went to Rexburg in September of 2018 to that weekend to go to a Firm Expo, and it is the last anyone saw JJ. That's what they were going to do in Rexburg, was attend the Firm Expo and podcast. And then David had his nightmare, and no one ever saw JJ alive again. So I, in my curiosity, in my trying to grasp this belief system, and all of my trying to understand what was going on, I've read a lot. I've read all of Chad's books. I've read Denver Snuffer, The Second Comforter, because I know from April, her friend in Hawaii, that Lori gave her that book. I've listened to numerous Mike Stroud podcasts. I've listened to podcasts called The Eternal Core. Put a pin in that. That's important. And I've read this book. And many of you know this book because, that blur. Because this book, I've been talking about this book for a couple of years, Visions of Glory, by a man named John Pontius, as told by John Pontius. What we understand is that the person who had the near-death experiences in here and talked about the days of tribulation and the second coming is actually a man named Thom Harrison, Thom with an H, Thom Harrison. He's a therapist in Salt Lake City. And he used to be very forthcoming about him being Spencer in this book. Okay. And Spencer is his alias in this book. And John Pontius tells Spencer's story. They actually do a podcast together back in the day when this book came out. Thom and John Pontius. John Pontius sadly passed away from cancer shortly after the book's publication. But before John Pontius passed away, he and Thom Harrison did do a podcast together where John interviewed Thom Harrison about being Spencer in the book, asked him about portals, asked him about how these evil spirits inhabit people when they're sinning. Braxton, Lori's cousin, talked a lot about this book as well. And it does seem to be a major thing in the belief system of Chad and Lori Daybell. This book. So we've been processing it. Kresha from Difficult Research, she's been looking at this book too. Many people that have deep dived into the Daybell case know about this book. And if you don't know about it, you know about it now. It's important. Visions of Glory. And so one person said, well, how do you really know that Thom Harrison is the author? I want to explain that he did do numerous firesides and meetings after the book was published and before his LDS leaders asked him to stop talking about the book. I reached out to Thom Harrison myself to ask him about being Spencer, to ask him his thoughts in the Chad and Lori Daybell case. I've heard from an inside source that Thom met with Chad, put a pin in that too. And you guys are getting to my mind. I'm still trying to go down this rabbit hole, and there's going to be a lot more coming. So a lot more coming. So I just want to explain all of this. I was supposed to go out of town today, and I'm not going out of town today. I'm going out of town tomorrow. But when I go out of town, there's going to be more coming. I'm going out of town for a reason, and you'll hear soon. So stay in touch next week. So Thom Harrison is definitely Spencer in this book. Chad Daybell mentions Spencer. You know what? I'll just there is let's listen to something together. There is a crash course that I put together during the Lori Ballard Daybell trial. When I was in Boise going to the Lori Ballard Daybell trial, I put together a crash course. Let's share that and listen to that. That'll explain Visions of Glory, and then we'll get back full circle. Stay with me, guys. Stay with me. I am going to take you guys full circle, and you welcome to my brain as I try to talk this all out. There goes my phone. As well as my drink. This little outside table I have, it's a great idea, but it's very small. So when I started adding my everything, it didn't work. All right. Okay. Sharing screen. Let's just listen to a part of this. So let's start. Where are we?
Saying about her brother's conversion to these extreme.
Okay.
Started out with Julie Rose's advice.
You know what? Let's start here because this matters. So here I am. I'm talking about Mike Stroud. Mike Stroud has all these beliefs. I'm talking about where Lori's belief system is stemming from. I'm explaining all that. I recommend this to everyone. Lori Ballard and Chad Daybell, the crash course you've never heard, the prequel to our Beyond the Veil series. I put this together. So let's just start here, and it is going to go into why Visions of Glory is important. Again, stick with me, everyone. Stick with me.
Lori's older brother, Alex Cox, a name you really need to remember, had been excommunicated from his Mormon faith years prior, but took his sister's advice and started immersing himself in the unique beliefs of portals, possession, controlling the elements, desiring to be translated, and having your own visions. Lori even sang about her brother's conversion to these extreme beliefs on the karaoke app Smol in November of 2017, seeming to mention both Julie Rowe and Mike Stroud. The lyrics are set to the tune of Leonard Cohen's song Hallelujah. And while I can't share it on YouTube due to copyright, I'll share the song on our Hidden a True Crime podcast episode of this same recording if you want to hear it there. Here are some of the lyrics. It started out with Julie Rowe, and it turned on the light you know. And he, meaning Alex, was changed forever in an instant. He knows there is a God above. He surely taught him how to love, and Mike confirms his insights every day now. We believe that's Mike Stroud. He had no
Okay, we'll fast forward this.
idea how it would change him. It started out with Julie Rowe, and it turned on the light, you know, and he was changed forever in an instant. Hallelujah. According to multiple sources, including family, Lori also loved the book Visions of Glory by John Pontius.
Here we go.
Pontius passed away from cancer shortly after his book's publication and remained a member of the LDS Church at death, but his book too has been controversial. It revolves around a man named Spencer and Spencer's multiple near-death experiences and visions. Pontius interviewed Spencer for his book and declares Spencer's visions as truth.
I believe the 10 tribes have great gifts that we don't understand. In Spencer's book, Visions of Glory, he talks about how they can just mold rock. They can take a tree and tell it to be a chair or something like that, and the tree will obey.
I found the real Spencer during my research. He's a therapist from Salt Lake City, Utah. His real name is Thom Harrison. After asking Harrison many questions, he mailed me a letter he had written to leaders of his LDS congregation in 2014. I read a part of the letter to one of our interviewees named Anna, who also brought up the controversy and prominence of the book Visions of Glory. Here is a snippet from that interview.
I don't know that I'd ever heard of portals before Visions of Glory.
Okay.
And Mike Stroud started talking about portals. Chad's talked about portals. But yeah, I think it's really influenced people.
This book has a hold on a lot of people, including Chad and Lori. And again, I see a lot of, you mentioned portals, and I see a lot of possession in this book. Thom sent me something that he wrote in 2014, apologizing for the book. I believe much of it is a metaphor or analogy, and that's all it should be taken as. He then ends with that he holds his membership of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints as his most prized possession. He apologizes for any injury or misunderstanding this has caused the church, his family, or individual associated with this book. He is so sorry for any offense this has caused any member. In addition to the extreme religious literature Lori and her brother Alex were devouring, around 2016, Lori also started reading those doomsday novels by Chad Daybell.
Okay. So that explains it better than I'm going to explain it again and again and again. So thank heavens for archived videos that I've actually scripted so I don't go around and around and around. That is Visions of Glory. It is important. Here is the letter Thom sent me, or the envelope that Thom sent me, addressed to me. Again, that dang, I don't even know I have the filter on. I shouldn't have the blur filter. I'm outside. It's actually pretty behind me. But so this is it. I actually don't know if the letter is in here right now. We're going to read the letter later next week. I'll just tell you that, where I'm going. So I go to a Firm Expo. Okay. So this Visions of Glory book is a big deal. It talks about portals. Everyone's talking about it. I read the book. Talks about, again, there's one kind of really upsetting chapter to me. I actually put it on our Patreon account once, like the whole chapter. And you can listen to this book for free online if you Google audio of it. But so it's, it talks about evil spirits entering bodies. I'm like, oh, this is sounding familiar. Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow preached this. This sounds like, great fan fiction. So I go to the Firm Expo 2022. I don't know why I keep trying. Okay, you know what? I'm going to have to set this thing off if I'm going to keep showing you guys stuff. So we're just going to go into settings and try to figure out how to stop the blur. There we go. Look at that. Okay. So here's the Firm Expo. Here's what Thom sent me. See, Thom Harrison. Here's the Firm Expo. So I show up. And by the way, I just want to point out a few things. So I go to the Firm Expo, and there is Jason Mao. Jason Mao is well known in the Daybell case. Many know. In fact, interesting story there. I recorded his speech live with my telephone at the Firm Expo. Many of you joined in back then in April of 2022. The Firm Expo did give me they actually dinged me, and I had to take it down, and they gave me a copyright ding on YouTube, even though I recorded it. It was my video. They said it was theirs. So also on this is Tim Ballard right there. He's a main speaker. This is the crew. For those, again, that are new to the Daybell case, Jason Mao was so involved in this case that he actually had to give a buccal swab sample for the evening Tammy Daybell died, which is coming up. It's this month, October 19th. And also the paintball incident, which was about, what date was that? But that was right. It was like a week and a half before Tammy was murdered. So, in order to sort of make it so, nobody else could be held responsible, and that they assumed it was Alex Cox who did these things, they interviewed Jason Mao at the police station. We have that interview, and they asked him to give a DNA swab to eliminate the possibility that could have been him. So that's how involved he is in this case. And, he had to give a sample. There's Tim Ballard. So you open it up, and there are some interesting names in here that you recognize, including, Tim Ballard speaking right after Hannah Stoddard. That's another name. Put a pin in that. We'll get into that another day. We'll get into it later. All right. So I go around at this Firm Expo. I actually spend 3 days there, 3 full days, and I meet so many people that know Lori and Chad and Melanie Gibb. And I want to say I met some really nice people, some really kind people. I was very honest with who I was. Some people recognized me. I told them why I was there. I attended some classes on energy healing. I was just really trying to understand this belief system. And when I went there, I think my goal was to understand like what it was that all these like-minded LDS preppers believed in. And I'll tell you what I've come to. And these are not church-sponsored conferences, by the way. This is a certain group of like-minded members that have found each other, and prepping is sort of their extreme belief. But it's more than prepping. And Braxton Southwick, Lori Daybell's cousin, who kindly came on the channel, really helped to kind of even refine this belief system even more. Although he says he did not attend these conferences. He listened, he read Visions of Glory. He loved Visions of Glory. He says he gave Lori, his cousin, Visions of Glory, and read many of Chad's books, knew Hector Sosa, knows a lot of the people involved in these conferences. And some certain political beliefs ties these people together. Prepping ties these people together. But I think one really, really big thing that ties these people together, their strong belief, is in visions and in near-death experiences. So they believe that people can have visions, which is the origin story of Mormonism. That Mormonism did start with a young boy, Joseph Smith, receiving a vision from God and Jesus Christ. So it makes sense. I mean, and many religions' origin stories start with a vision or a magical heavenly moment. But so you have that origin story of the LDS Church. But these people are sort of believing that Mormonism should go back to its roots. That it's become far too progressive, the belief system, and nobody's really having visions anymore. And visions and dreams are for everyone. And these are 2 textbooks I was sent from classes I used to give, for example, at Preparing the People. The Dreams and Vision Workbook. These are the things that people are learning at these conferences that Tim Ballard is attending, Chad Daybell is attending, not just attending, speaking. And it's a whole, like a textbook of how to have your own dreams and how to have your own visions. And let's just read a couple of this. Dreams and Visions Workbook, Overcoming, the first page, Overcoming Your Unbelief About Dreams and Visions, explaining that everybody can have dreams and visions. You should have them. You should believe them. Dreams and Visions Defined. Also, this Denver Snuffer book I mentioned early on, Lori and Chad Daybell, or Lori, excuse me, I should say, I only know about Lori, really loved Denver Snuffer, The Second Comforter. Mike Stroud, who you saw Lori singing about, as well as Denver Snuffer, both taught about how to have your second comforter vision, meaning a vision from Jesus Christ. And Lori Ballard to this day seems to truly believe that she saw Jesus Christ. At least she told us all that at her sentencing. So, visions, dreams. How do you tell a real dream? So now they're explaining that dreams are visions. They're received while in a deeper sleep. You always have a symbol of Christ, except you often formulate it into a parable, and you need to explain. And then what's the difference? And then there can be no specific guide, but an angel guide or a guide from the Godhead will help you know if your dream is a vision. Dream you have, like, dude, if my dreams were visions, I'd be in trouble, man. I'd also be eating I think my dream last night was I had 3 cupcakes and then I slept in. So that's a vision, Okay. Flying in the air. The purpose of dreams and visions explains. Dreams and visions give comfort. Dreams and visions action. Stick with me, guys. I know you're probably why are you going here, Lauren? Why are you going? Just stick with me. Because I really need you guys to understand where I am. I always try to, on these lunch lives, which this is now an evening live and it's getting dark, and try to just explain to you guys what I'm getting into, what I'm delving into. I was on the phone for 7 hours delving into this. So I just want to share and catch you guys up because more is coming. So anyway, this is just ask for dreams and visions. Believe in your dreams and visions. The adversary discredits your dreams and visions. Don't listen to the adversary. Here's how you interpret the process of interpretation. Okay, you get the idea. Here's Roger K. Young's book, Dreams and Visions of the Last Days. Read this whole thing. Roger K. Young started the prepping website Avow. They teach you about dreams and visions. Here's another Roger K. Young book. Okay, so now DVD, Roger K. Young DVD. Thank you to the Hidden Gem. You know who you are, who sent me that. Very interesting. And then we add Visions and Glory to this group. So these are some of the things I collected at the Firm Expo. Exciting new video streaming. Here's Rod Meldrum, Glenn Beck, Tim Ballard, a few of them promoting that. I don't know if Glenn Beck I think he spoke once at a Firm Expo a long time ago, so I don't see him as like someone that's prominent in that group. I don't say that with Tim Ballard. Tim Ballard is prominent in that group. Okay, the Constitution. They gave out copies of the Constitution. Well, I guess that's all I have right now. I thought I had a lot more, unless I misplaced things. Oh, here you go. Yeah, a bunch of pamphlets. This is a Book of Mormon flag. There was a large one of these, by the way, a large one. It's from Captain Moroni in the Book of Mormon, in memory of our God, our religion, and freedom, and our peace, our wives, and our children. There was a giant one of these, and a woman, she was so kind. If you're watching, I consider her a friend. She was so kind to me, but she pulled out a really big one that she has sort of all the speakers always sign. And I saw Chad Daybell's name and Julie Rowe's name. Oh, thanks, babe. Dr. Babe just turned on the outside light. And a lot of, I am a latter-day Nephite. So Tim Ballard's big in a Nephite. So put a pin in that. So these are the things, there. And then, like I said, here are some of the classes, okay? Did ancient, see. Oh, John DeLynne's mentioned here, because I'm going to be meeting with John DeLynne next week. That's funny. And he's not mentioned in the best way here. Then they're asking, can we believe Christ about science and history? Here's one where someone is suggesting that the dinosaurs were never extinct, that they actually lived with men. The American Covenant, that's Tim Ballard, one nation under God. Again, Tim Ballard is why we're here and what I want to talk about. Finding strength in church history, the values of the Declaration of Independence, science defined, voices of the Restoration, dinosaurs in scripture, dinosaur living with man, gravity water filters using space age nanotechnology. I assume that's a prepping thing. And then there was a lot about energy healing. I'm not finding those right now. I attended some energy healing classes, Heroes from the Book of Mormon, Who is the Antichrist? Of course, you can guess what Jason Mao spoke of. It's his regular speech about being a warrior. Natural alternatives to medicine, the century that abandoned Christ, 7,000 years, the end time timetable. I'm just trying to show you, this is what people for 3 days are going to here, and what I went to. Yeah. If you are prepared, you shall not fear, and happy hemp oil. There you go. I think you guys get an idea. We'll move on. So right before Tim Ballard, so Tim Ballard is in the news in all good ways, right? He's saving children. He is a subject, again, of this movie, Sound of Freedom. And I have some growing suspicions about him, I'll be honest, but I'm not sharing it with everyone because it's sensitive. Because if you bring up Tim Ballard and you bring up questions about the Sound of Freedom, you get labeled as someone that doesn't care about saving children, or how dare I attack a hero. And so I'm not really telling everyone that I have an eye out for Tim Ballard. I'm seeing him speak at other questionable conferences, and I'm doing a deep dive. And finally, I got ticked off just enough. That's usually what happens when I dare to share something a little bold that maybe I shouldn't and maybe I might regret. But it was mid-August where something ticked me off just enough. I saw, Tim Ballard, selling freedom powder, protein powder to save money for kids, even though he's no longer part of I don't know. It rubbed me the wrong way. And whether you guys see something wrong with that or not, it frustrated me that day. So I decided to place all of just some simple info about how Tim Ballard, this international figure now, is actually tied to this really small, it's a small group of like-minded visionary preppers. And that's concerning me. And it's so hard to explain why that would concern me. Some people say, well, don't judge someone by who they associate with. I hope you guys noticed that even though I pointed out Glenn Beck, I said, I think he spoke once, but he's not really involved. I'm not here to jump on people that might have friends with some of these people. I just stated I'm friends with some of these people. I made friends at this conference. I would call them my friends if I saw them. I'd give them a hug. Some of these people were so full of information and they knew these people. That's not my issue. My issue is not, all these people know each other. My issue is just how involved they all are in things like teaching about visions, how to have visions, in a Messiah complex, in telling people the second coming is on its way and instilling fear. And there were some things. So I put this out on the social media platform formerly known as Twitter. Can we just call it Twitter? X. By the way, I'm over on Threads, and I hope that people can join us on Threads, the social media platform Threads. That's where I want to be now. I'm not a huge fan of X, but I'm doing my best. But we don't have as big of a following base on Threads. So come support us over on Threads. But I'm just going to bring up the thread that I put on X or Twitter. Oh, that means I need to share this. So let me share this. And this is August 18th. Okay. And I resurrected it, to use a Chad Daybell term. I resurrected it for people. I said, for those who haven't seen this, Tim Ballard has the same beliefs and friends as Chad Daybell. Please read. It did not surprise me today to see that Tim used the same pickup line as Chad. We were married in a past life. Oh, spoiler alert. That's where I'm going. So can you guys see this? Let me just make sure we can see this. Okay, we can see this? Great. Okay. So I write, weird fact. Chad Daybell had a speaking platform with the Firm Expo. Tim Ballard also speaks at these conferences. I attended a Firm Expo for days where Tim Ballard was advertised as the main speaker. I spoke to many attendees who knew Chad. Continued below. That was the thing that irked me enough to write this back in August. One nice woman showed me Chad's autograph next to Julie Rose on a Title of Liberty flag. I shared that too. I purchased a book where the author told me one of the chapters was about Chad, but he had edited out Chad's name after Chad was charged. He showed me which chapter. I'm just trying to explain that Chad was really involved with this group. I met a man who was featured in Chad's texts and love stories. We all love the love story, the loin fire story, as we know it here at Hidden True Crime. I'll never get over Keith Morrison quoting from the loin fire story and saying loin fire. But I met a man who was featured in Chad's texts and love stories to Lori. His name is Bruce Porter. Here is a pic of a banner that includes both Bruce Porter and Tim Ballard, plus Bruce and me at this Tim Ballard speaking event where Bruce is mentioned in the police docs. So I have some pictures. I ran up to him, fangirling him. He had no idea who I was. And I was just like, look, you're a big deal on my podcast. Can I get a picture? And he said, sure. So he is a big deal because he shows up randomly in Chad and Lori's loin fire story. Here's Tim Ballard. Here's Bruce Porter. Here's Bruce Porter in the Chandler documents. Does that open wide? How is this looking here? I can't see everyone. So here's where Bruce Porter shows up. As Dr. John says, Bruce Porter's like the Forrest Gump of this case. He's everywhere. So as they talk, James. So this is Chad Daybell texting Lori about their love story. Chad is James, and Lori is Elena. As they talked, James had a burning desire to make love to her, but he wasn't sure she felt the same way, but they could not stay away from each other. One time she was sitting in a couch near his table, and he took a seat on a chair about 5 feet from her. She began to squirm and covered her body with her hands. She asked him, "What are you doing?" He wasn't aware what she meant. All he knew was that if Bruce Porter hadn't been giving them the evil eye, a child would have been conceived on that couch. Bruce, thank you for being there. All right. So, oh dear. So let's keep going. Throughout the conference, OUR was highlighted with Tim's support and approval, even being advertised on the conference cover. On the cover is also, he's next to Chad and Lori's friend Jason Mao, who is another main speaker. Jason Mao, the man on the cover at the Firm Expo next to Tim, Chad Daybell wept over him in the speech he gave the day he met Lori Vallow. Mao also interviewed Lori Vallow for his podcast. Oh, look, can we play it? Let's see if we can play it. Can you guys hear that?
That parallel will happen again, where training will happen in Rexburg. But somewhere here, there will be training, and I feel strongly Jason will be a part of that training and help to have that army ready to go as well. So I don't know if you're going to do water training like this. I don't know what you got in mind, but what will happen that when that spring thaw comes, the coalition leadership will have gathered in Denver. That Denver airport is honestly kind of their headquarters.
I think we might even miss where he said. I think we might even miss where he said Jason Mao.
And
let's refresh that.
I've seen Obama there. I've seen Hillary Clinton there. They're not going away. Whether they get reelected or what Jason
Here we go.
Love what Jason Mao's doing. We did a presentation in July in Mesa, and another case where Spirit was almost overwhelming of the mission he has. That parallel will happen again, where training will happen in Rexburg. But somewhere here, there will be training, and I feel strongly Jason will be a part of that training and help to have that army ready to go as well. So I don't know if you're going to do water.
Okay, so there you go. Here's Tim Ballard. I say the woman, Hannah Stoddard, who Tim Ballard was scheduled to speak directly after. I've listened to a recording of her verbally abusing her own mother in this leaked recording. She is also an OUR supporter. And here is this. It's on, I'll just show you guys. But it's, oh, you guys can't see it because it's a different link. So it's on True Crime Underground. Check it out there. True Crime Underground. Sean Little Bear, another Firm Expo speaker and friend of Chad. So I'm writing this on August 19th. Told me in an interview with him that these conferences are almost like matchmaking events. If anyone remembers that interview, it was like back in 2020. Everyone starts hooking up, according to Sean Little Bear, with their past life spouse. Ding, ding, ding. Remember this. My interview with Sean here. And there's a picture of Sean. I circled him. Who else is there? Few people, but there's Sean. Tim Ballard's, I explain why Tim Ballard's Sound of Freedom movie has caused a bit of controversy. Why wouldn't a movie highlighting the tragedy of sex trafficking be applauded and supported by the world? I think it's fair that people are skeptical of Operation Underground Railroad and Tim Ballard. This is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to some unsavory people Tim associates himself with. I could go on. I said support child and human trafficking causes that help to stop it, but do your research. And then I share again Tim Ballard and Bruce Porter. Again, there I am. And then here's some more. Now I've been adding on to this since August 19th. Here's another pic that was just sent to me. Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow's close friend Jason Mao with Tim Ballard. Here it is. Great evening speaking and sharing the stage with Tim Ballard. Here is Tim highlighted with Roger K. Young, the founder of Avow. Avow is another voice of warning. Again, that was started by Roger K. Young. This, again, is Roger K. Young. He wrote Dreams and Visions of the Last Days that I'm holding up. Roger K. Young started Avow. He sold it to Christopher Perrett, his good friend. And it's actually, some have it labeled as a terrorist website, a concern. All right. So here he is. Here's Tim highlighted with Roger K. Young. This dates all the way back to 2011, showing he has supported these radically political and extreme religious groups, the same ones that gave Chad Daybell his platform for over a decade. So here we are, Friday, May 11th. It's right there, Friday, May 11th. And then Firm Expo president Ron Meldrum, there's Roger K. Young. Oops, I just closed it on accident. And there's Timothy Ballard. You get it. And here's Tim Ballard with Mike and Nancy James, the founders of Preparing a People. Preparing a People is a prepping and visionary conference who gave Chad his speaking platform. It is at a Preparing a People conference where Chad met Lori while he was speaking and selling books. There we are. Oh, but we keep going. Oh, look, time again to add another reply. I say now we're at September 18th. Arrested therapist Jodi Hildebrandt spoke at the Eternal Core Conference hosted by Visions of Glory's Thom Harrison and headlined by Tim Ballard. Thom, it turns out Thom Harrison, the author of Visions of Glory, is a therapist or was a therapist for OUR, Tim Ballard's OUR conference. Again, Visions of Glory. And for those that want to know more about that, please check out our Jodi Hildebrandt. We did a Jodi Hildebrandt YouTube, and we explained, I should have pulled that up too. We explained that connection with our Jodi Hildebrandt coverage. Let's see if I can find it. Jodi Hildebrandt, Hidden True Crime, YouTube. Rumor has it we were banned from the Reddit sub, by the way, the one that covers Hildebrandt and Frankie. They don't know what they're missing. All right. Here we go. So this, let's see if we can find it. So I'm trying to see if I can find the part. I can't. Okay, so, but this is, I'm just going to share in chat the link. Here you go. Yeah, banned. I know, right? Intense. Not everyone understands Hidden True Crime. It's actually another reason to hit subscribe here and notifications, because you never know what Reddit sub's going to ban us. So stick with us here and don't rely on Reddit subs to share our links. Okay, going back to this. And I have to hurry because I have to go take my son somewhere. But here we go. So now we get to a couple weeks ago, and we say John and I decide to finally cover Tim Ballard, because all of a sudden, Tim Ballard, after I do this thread, Tim Ballard's in the news. This is September 30th now. And all of a sudden, there's stuff coming out about him, being an abuser, an assaulter. There's rumors coming out. The LDS Church excommunicates him. By the way, I have confirmed that. I have confirmed the excommunication with someone that heard it directly from Tim. And I actually say to John, when more comes out, I am not going to be surprised if we learn that Tim Ballard is telling women that he was married to them in a past life. Let's see. Let's see. And look at here, October 10th. I opened the first civil lawsuit to read the 90 pages. Again, you can find those on our Patreon account with all the Daybell FOIAs as well, with so many different FOIAs. But 99, let's open 99. All the reasons. So the civil lawsuit filed in 3rd District Court in Salt Lake County, 99. Ballard would also claim to the women and the defendant, Janet Russin, who's a psychic, that he had been married to them in a previous life, and so their conduct was appropriate. Additionally, Ballard would get ketamine treatments and have a scribe come in with him while he would talk to the dead prophet Nephi and issue forth prophecies, having visions about Ballard's greatness and future as a United States Senator, President of the United States, and ultimately the Mormon prophet to usher in the second coming of Jesus Christ. So now I'm thinking, we're back to visions of glory. Ding, ding, ding. Okay, what the heck's going on? And I'm like, let's find Thom Harrison in these FOIAs. Oh, he's there, guys. He's there. I don't know if I can pull it up unless, where is my phone? Oh, my phone fell. Thom Harrison shows up in Visions of Glory. Or not in Visions of Glory, in Tim Ballard's lawsuits, as well as FOIA documents that many of the incredible journalists in Salt Lake City have uncovered. And people are now asking, who is Thom Harrison? And I'm like, we need to find out. We need to find out more about Thom Harrison. Let me just read you some of these things from Tim Ballard's. And I'll say this, for anyone that goes and reads the full documents, it's heavy. It's actually worse than I ever thought. The way he manipulated and groomed numerous women according to this. It was 90 pages and 60 pages. Each victim tells their own story that corroborate, and it's difficult. Here are some of the things. Ballard would claim to the women, so I'm reading from my phone here. Ballard would claim to the women that the defendant, Janet Russin, that's the psychic that was paid by OUR a hefty salary, that they were told that they had been married in a previous life, and so their contact was okay. Additionally, Ballard would get those ketamine treatments and have a scribe in with him, and he would talk to the dead prophet Nephi and issue forth prophecies, Ballard's greatness and future of the United States. Now the moths are out. And here, I wish I could show you guys this and pull it up, but this is what I'm reading. Oh, let me get rid of this. That'll help. Hold on. Okay. So I'm reading this. This is from a scribe. It's actually a screenshot. He feels, so this is a scribe while he's getting treatment with Janet and people. He is stepping outside of himself. He is himself 100% while in the K state. While in the K state, truth serum can say all he needs to say, and God speaks to him. Again, this is what they teach at these conferences, that God speaks to him. He's asking God, he's asking Nephi, and he's asking, are you ready for this? Thom Harrison and the angels. What do I need to do? Help to prepare himself. Forgive me, Father and Mother. With this freedom, I bring love and light. With this freedom, he effortless gives love and light. And in freedom, I effortlessly see the love and light in God's connection to the world. Why send me here? What have I done to these people? Please protect me. Thom Harrison, who are you? Redacted sister, Catherine. Other things he explains. Ballard would also claim that to his female ruse partners, his couple ruse partners, the women, the victims, stated in this lawsuit, that if his wife were to die, he would immediately marry them. Sound familiar? Ballard also told one of his victims that when his wife would question what he was doing with these women, he would tell them that his female partners kept falling in love with him and that they wanted to kill Catherine, his wife, so they could be together. I mean, does this not sound like Chad Daybell? Like Tammy's going to die, or just talking about his wife dying? Ballard would insist that the women stay silent, and told him, yeah, if his wife were to die, he would immediately marry them. He told them to stay silent because, again, he was married to them in a past life and that they were saving children. Let's see what else. Here we go. He kept me so busy. I hearted some of these that I wanted to read. Oh, he told everyone to keep it a secret from everyone, never mention to anyone. No one understands that this is for the greater good and the new covenant. We have been married in a past life, he would say. So it just keeps going. It just keeps going. Now he says, this is for the new and everlasting covenant. Here are Tim's reoccurring comments to me, says one victim. That traffickers can smell pheromones. We are doing this for the greater good. This is for the new covenant. I see angels all around. My wife, Catherine, chose you. Do you remember when Lori Vallow said that she was Tammy Daybell's good eternal friend? Sounds familiar. Now he's involving his wife. Oh, my wife chose you. These aren't our real bodies. Jesus gave us these bodies to use. Our bodies are a tool. I would do anything to save children. How far would you go? Janet and Lori was the other psychic, not to be confused with Lori Daybell, Vallow Daybell. Janet and Lori said, you would never turn on me. You are the only one who could ruin me. I can't say that on YouTube. Here's another one. Let's see. Well, we'll skip that because I've got to go. But now this is a husband. This is a husband talking. At one point, Tim actually suggested that one of his victims in the lawsuits and her husband get a divorce. And then another interesting thing the husband says is finding AA's notes. That's the victim. One in particular was extremely disturbing, especially when read out of benefit of context. A note was describing some sort of trance or spell that Tim was under while under the influence of ketamine. He was talking to Nephi and Thom Harrison from Visions of Glory again, and others. He was talking about past lives and how he and AA were together in a past life, held captive together. He was talking about their past lives, and he said that AA was an angel and chosen again by his wife to carry out these missions. This was January 8th, 2023. So what is my point? My point is that the red flags I was seeing seem to be accurate. And I am all the more curious about this book, Visions of Glory. And thank you, Debbie. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a lot of work, so I appreciate that, Debbie. It's been a lot of, so there's something, I always say, if there's something in the water, we need to fish it out. And I used to be broad, like these preparing to people conferences, but I'm starting to wonder about Visions of Glory and Thom Harrison because he seems to be every place. Look up the Eternal Core podcast on Apple Podcasts. Look it up. Let's see if I can pull it up right now, actually. I just want to show you guys who Thom Harrison interviews in 2019. 2019 alone. You know what? Actually, I don't have time. I need to run with my son. So I'll just say this. In 2019 alone, Thom Harrison starts the Eternal Core, which is a God therapy, bringing God back into therapy. He's a therapist himself. And he interviews Jodi Hildebrandt. And right after he interviews Jodi Hildebrandt, he interviews Tim Ballard 3 times. And Tim Ballard talks about how Thom is helping him with OUR as a mentor and how, wonderful he is. And then he interviews, so I mentioned Jodi Hildebrandt, and then he interviews Maurice Harker. Maurice Harker is someone whose story got completely buried. Go Google that one. Maurice Harker is another therapist in Utah who was recently charged with physically abusing a long-term patient because she had demons inside of her. Thom Harrison interviews him. And I can tell you that well before this Tim Ballard stuff started coming out, I've heard for years, this is years, from 2 separate major sources on both sides of the equation, that Julie Rowe and Chad Daybell were meeting with Thom Harrison in his office. This is from 2 years ago. That they're very proud of this. And we all know that Lori Vallow, again, was reading this book poolside. In fact, should I share this again? I think this kept going. Let's see this thread. Does it keep going? Yeah, here we go. Just show you guys one more time. So here's the last one. You guys see that? Tim Ballard, the subject of the Sound of Freedom movie, mentions the book Visions of Glory by Thom Harrison, a book we have been concerned about for years. Lori and Chad considered this book scripture. Look, there's Lori reading it right there. There she is reading it poolside. Chad's on the Lori workout plan there. So this is in the FOIA documents that Tim had told him he had read the book called Visions of Glory. So this wasn't the civil lawsuit. And he had met with a man who had died and come back. That's a near-death experience named Thom Harrison. And that Thom actually, let's see, pull this up. So this is in the FOIA documents. Come on, you can do it. So he is Tim. Tim told me to read this book, and it was called Visions of Glory, and that he had met with the man who wrote it before he died, and his name was Thom Harrison, and that Thom had told him a lot of visions that he had that actually had Tim in them. He said that Tim would be a prophet of the LDS Church, and one day that he'd be the president of the United States. He told me that he had another psychic friend, one here in Utah, that she would tell him things about who his partner should be. Okay, so there you go. I am trying to fish something out of the water. That's what I'm trying to do. This has been consuming me. And I want you to know that I'm actually going out of town. And I have been talking to John DeLynn with Mormon Stories. I have been talking to Megan Connor, Lori Vallow Daybell's cousin, that has been interviewed several times on our channel, who's read the book. I have been talking to Mindy Caldwell, a friend of the program. And then I've been talking to many others that I can't share. Someone who told me something, and now there's been two witnesses here. Someone who said very close to Tim Ballard that Thom Harrison was telling people that who was light and who was dark in OUR. If anybody has any more information about that, please reach out. And that's one reason I'm doing this. It's one reason I'm doing this video too, and this live that's now become an hour, and I'm late, and I've got to run. But I have now been hearing that Thom Harrison was a mentor. So now I've been hearing for years that he was meeting with Chad and Julie. Now I'm hearing he's been meeting with Tim Ballard, and we see that in the documents. And now I'm hearing from someone who I had a very long conversation with yesterday that he was saying who was light and who was dark in the organization, who Tim should trust and who he shouldn't. Yeah. And this is, guys, what's the common denominator here? I don't know. I don't want to label it right now. But do I have suspicions? Do I have concerns? Do I have some serious concerns about this book? Yes. I don't know what it's going to all come down to, but again, Jodi Hildebrandt hurt children. Lori, I don't, rest in peace, Tylee and JJ, Tammy and Charles. There's something going on with this connected group of people. And I want to get to the bottom of it. And that's why 4 years later, here I am. And I am going out of town, and I'm going to meet with all those people I just mentioned. And I want you guys to all go subscribe to Mormon Stories or hit notifications on Mormon Stories, because I'm pretty sure we're going to have an episode there soon. Those people are doing incredible research there. This is just the tip. There's a lot more coming. I actually shared more here than I thought I was going to share. But I just want to see. I just wanted you guys to see a bit of what I'm seeing. I was on the phone again, like, I don't even know how many hours. It was my entire day. That's why you guys didn't get a live yesterday either. So I'm heading out, but I hope that helps you guys understand what I'm trying to figure out and where I am with all of this. And like I said, I am just a drop in a bucket of people that are investigating this. So we're going to get some people together to learn more. And so I recommend staying tuned. And also other people that have been covering this. There are some great Reddit posts now out there. If you search Thom Harrison, Thom with an H, and some other people. People are putting the dots together. It's really interesting. And again, well, there goes my battery saver. I'm really got to go. And I guess my charger hasn't been working outside. And Kresha with difficult research. She's been doing a great job with her Visions of Glory research. That is Kay and Larry Vallow's daughter. She's had her eye on this for a long time too. There's a lot of people. Why are we covering Tim Ballard so much? This is why. Last but not least, John and I are going to go live this weekend, but because of my traveling schedule, it's going to be Sunday that we're going to go live. So stay tuned for that Sunday night. I'll have something up. It will not be Saturday. So again, just with everything going on, this is real boots on the ground journalism. So please hit subscribe. Please hit notifications. I also want you guys to know the more subscribers we have, not only does it help us grow, but people are more willing to talk to us, if that makes sense. Like we look more like official, more legit. Like if you guys trust us and believe in our journalism, please subscribe, please, because we're figuring some stuff out. And yeah, so there we go. I hope that helps you guys know where I am. Computer's about to die. Got to go take care of family. And thank you. And, I'm looking here to see if there's anything else I need to say. Like I said, I'm just a drop in the bucket. Someone that has been investigating Tim. So I've been doing the Daybell side of things. Someone that's been investigating Tim is Lynn K. Packer's channel. He's great. He is a true blue boots on the ground journalist from Salt Lake City as well. There are a lot of people. Aaliyah Satilli has a great book to read. She's an author and she explains sort of the prepping conferences. Braxton's interview is really great. There's so many interesting people. So if I'm not mentioning someone, put them in comments, a share. I'm all about sharing. And I just want you guys to know that. So expect something this week or next with Mormon stories. And if anybody knows anything with the direction I'm going, please reach out, hiddentruecrimeinfo@gmail.com. If you guys feel like you should send this to anyone, please do. Thank you for being here tonight. Now you guys know what I've been up to and what I'm trying to figure out. Everyone is innocent here until proven guilty, but this is where my brain's been spinning. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys. Have a good night.